Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with a 9-time GSL champion, the Terran in the blue, the man, the myth, the Maru. Facing off against his greatest punching bag in the red, the underling. We have SHIN in a best-of-5 Terran versus Zerg tournament showdown. In the last 35 times they've faced, Maru has defeated SHIN as Terran, but he's also done it once as Protoss. SHIN has yet to return the favor. But it's a new day and a new opportunity for me to beg you to smash that like button and maybe even subscribe before we get started. And Jimmy, what are we at? 1,766 likes on this video and this cast, and I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways because I don't know what else I can do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better than the first Overlord, which Maru's actually sending a barracks out to chase it down. Little does he know that SHIN went for a spawning pool first, but he didn't go for the early speed. So the Marines, the Overlord spotting the Marines, and there's 4 Marines against 4 Zerglings. The Overlord, SHIN thought he could be clever here, but Maru, on the other hand, went with ye old mass marine strategy and kind of counteracted any opportunity to get damage done. The Zerglings are coming around the other side of the path. The Marines will join up, and that's not enough links. He's trying to save the Overlord, but I think, just like every time he's played against Maru, he's going to lose everything. SHIN, ranked as one of the top players in the world, has a pretty close to 50% chance of taking on anyone. But the mental and physical and emotional block he has against Maru is stuff of legend and potentially psychological study. And already starting off, Maru with just building a few extra Marines and bringing the barracks out. Not only does he manage to shut down the early pool, which was not supposed to be a cheese, but something to delay the economy, SHIN's economy is worse. And Maru now has map control, which is the opposite of how that's supposed to go. But everyone has a plan. Until Maru's on the other side and your name is SHIN. Which is a very specific saying, but, you know, it happens so often. Lair and a Roach Warren on the way. There is still the opportunity to catch him up. By no means is this some sort of game-ending proposition. Making a few early Zerglings certainly doesn't set you too far behind. Losing the Overlord means you have less information, obviously, less ability to produce with supply, but it's not the end of the world. Though Maru is angling towards something much more dangerous. He has concussive shells on... Oh, it's a fake! It's a fake! Sorry, wasn't that dramatic, but honestly, the fake is not even that relevant because a Zergling would have to come up... Somewhat ironically, if the Overlord survived, that fake might work better. But he's going Mech. He knows flesh is weak and malleable. Whereas Mech, on the other hand, has a strong opportunity to get a lot of damage done. So, he actually... and here's the thing about this swerve. When you go Marines with 2 racks early, it is rare and kind of uncomfortable to swerve into the Mech-based composition. The most difficult part of going Mech is getting the infrastructure together. It's 100 gas for each of those factories. The startup cost is usually so high that the Zerg can just run away with the economy before you get enough to control it. But because Maru went for the 2 racks, I am quite convinced, especially since SHIN is going for +1 carapace. I am... Oh, friendly fire on the Hellion in every sense. I'm quite convinced SHIN is also convinced this is going to be, well...
Your warriors have engaged the enemy.
He was. Oh, wow. You know, vindication. Right before the Hellions come in, good block. He can't... He cancels the +1 carapace for +1 ranged attack the moment he scouts the factories. He now knows that Maru is trying to mech Terran good again. But, well, thankfully for SHIN, to an... Oh... He's double dipping with the Hellions, and I roll it back, Jimmy. He blocks him on the right, but Maru's got Hellions on the left. The bait and switch here. The drones caught between the fire and the flames, and it's looking good here for Shin. He cancels the Evo chamber. He's got roaches on the right. He's got queens on the left, but Hellions find the drones right down the middle. Not too bad to start, but the Hellions dart right back in. The roaches take out the first round, lines them up, and burns them out. And what was initially of mild concern ends up being terrible, terrible damage. Incinerates 16 drones for just 8 Hellions. A scan in the main will scout a 2 gases. He has to know there's a lair. Well, yes, he got to the natural. Just scouting for an infestation pit. A spire would also be quite dangerous. And there is a risk of it. I'm actually a little surprised we don't see missile turrets coming up, though. I shouldn't be that surprised because Maru now starts an engineering bay. There is a cyclone, a contaminate from the Overseer, but somehow there was still high ground vision there. Is that not a pervert pillar? I actually think it's on the same level. The trees are obscuring him. I don't think the trees... Yeah, that's actually the same level of height as everything else. Meanwhile, that scouter, that barracks lord... Did you know that flying Terran buildings actually move faster than overlords without speed? What a fun fact for the Terrans. But so far, Maru able to keep Shin busy. And Shin went from a potential economic lead to now 60 to 65 workers. He needs to get damage done. The barracks is watching, and there's not much he can do about it unless he wants to sit there spewing out corrosive biles at it, which is certainly not a great use of his time. 4 siege tanks. 1 will be knocked out by the biles. 3 siege tanks is still quite a dramatic proposition, though. Tunneling claws is on the way. That second tank not even quite targeted down. There's not much to work around the edges. And right now, Shin gonna take out one of the refineries. A Nidus into the main. The forces are stretched thin. Look at the supply. 147 to 107, and the worker count is dead even. Though it won't be the only thing dead by the end of this. Cyclone in the main, a single SCV, that's not enough. He's gonna pop some of the roaches. He might even be able to take out the clone just moments before. And the Nidus worm spewing out more and more roaches. And for once, Maru underestimating Shin's capabilities. And now he's estimating a lot less production this quarter in the main. The roaches scurrying around. There's still a few Ravagers, a tactical Nidus. The Nidus in the main he could still escape into if he needs to, but so far, so good. And tunneling claws being done. There's only 3 orbital commands. There's not detection. He doesn't even have a starport to think about building a Raven. Another Nidus at the third. 14 SCVs dead. Shin is ripping through the base. Another contaminate seconds before the siege tank was going to complete. The tactical contaminate stopped the production. He missed the shots on the tank. Shin, his hands are shaking. And he's still missing headshots. Oh, he's like, I'm doing it, and I'm beating Maru. No, not now. Don't celebrate. That miss on those siege tanks costs him another 20 supply, and it goes from potential critical damage to Maru cleaning this up moments before another Nidus is about to pop out. Some burrow move roaches sharking into the natural. They made it by. He's going to need missile turrets, another attack at the third. Just a couple siege tanks and some decent SimCity on the way. There's a single missile turret as well. Those roaches are taking so much damage from the siege tanks. And the siege tanks also doing a lot to the SCVs nearby. 21 SCVs slaughtered. But we have to ask ourselves that eternal question. At what cost? Infestation pit is on the way. Shin only now started building drones. He didn't have a 4th hatchery. So while he did significant damage to Maru, it is by no means critical. The worker count is still not... It's too close for comfort, and Maru has been continuing upgrades throughout this. He didn't end up losing much of his production, and Shin wasn't able to grow his economy very much back at home. So Maru is a bit down, but he's significantly far from out. And I really feel he has just mental... He curved the corrosive biles away from his siege tank. He mentally shoved Shin's hand on the mouse in order to save his tank, it feels like. And, well, he's still going. But 11 swarm hosts are on the way. Sir Richard and his band of swarm host brethren. And against a limited economy Terran, in this exact scenario, the queens are burrowing and unburrowing. Not the time, Susan! You don't tell me how to live my... You're not my supervisor! You're not my overlord, Brenda! Not now, Susan! It's game 1! People get weirded out! You mean creeped out, Brenda. Good! But also not the time... Sorry, I blacked out for a moment. But, what a scan! He sees the swarm host, and he sees no hive on the way. Maru with the perfect timing. Just enough. Where was that Nidus? Oh, outside the natural. Siege tanks all over the place. A set of rocks in the main. Thors are here. And Maru ramping things up. Thors, well, Hellbats and Thors are a workable option. +2 vehicle weapons completed moments before the Locust will take out the armory. A fortuitous timing for Maru. Meanwhile, the Barracks Lord still scouting. Nidus is taken out immediately. But Maru on the ropes right now. But he didn't hear no bell. Starport begrudgingly on the way. Only a single Locust, or a single swarm host with a set of Locusts. He's waiting for another round. I mean, he knows he's there. The barracks is seeing all of this. Pops out another wave. Maru's had time to prepare. Couple Hellbats out in front. SHIN microing the Locust so they don't all swoop down at a less than ideal position. But the missile turrets and the Thors, with the Javelin missiles, the explosives, mitigating the damage. And in fact, the siege tanks doing more damage to Maru than any of SHIN's units. Down goes one. Another going to be taken out with ease. Just +1 ranged attack at the moment for SHIN, though, against 2-2 Mech. Oh, flesh is indeed weak and malleable. That is quite an upgrade advantage, despite the army supply. But between the upgrades, betwixt, if you would. I wouldn't, but I felt like there was an opportunity to say it, but now I've kind of ruined that opportunity. Moving on. With +2 attack against not even Carapace upgrades, those siege tanks are just laying into the Roach Ravager. But quantity has a quality all its own. Ooh, I'm struggling with words, just like SHIN and his spell casting, but Aspire is on the way. A clear angle towards Broodlords, but for now, Maru needs to hold the line. The Locusts drop down, draw some fire. Corrosive Bowels thrown out, scatter throughout the Thors, making several of them uncomfortable. But he can't seem to break through. The Spire, I guess Muta, no, definitely not Mutas. +2 Thors, 2-shot Mutas. 2 Thors and a single volley could just wipe out an entire flock of Mutas instantaneously. So it seems like something SHIN might try when he's facing Maru and at no other time. +3 attack is actually... The Mech upgrade, at least at this rate, will finish more quickly than the Zerg +3, which is quite an accomplishment. Oh, the Thor! What a save! But +3 is denied, making me a bit of a liar there. What a play by Maru to slip away with the Thors. The +3 attack not nearly as important as +2, but obviously... Actually, I think that was his last armory. That matters even more. Cannot build any more Thors. Nor... No, that's about it. Well, upgrades, obviously, but... The Swarm Host in an awkward position, actually finding a nice spot to potentially use them. A single Liberator may deny it, though. Locust coming out. Thor's in position, making full use of that explosive payload. Hellbats underneath, zoning out the Roach Ravager. Right under the ankles of the Thors, but the siege tanks not drawing too much fire in. The Broodlords could do the same, but for now... Maru holds, and his supply, SHIN, is at 200. He can't get any more. Well, he can do some crazy, like, spore tricking, but effectively maxed out. He has 69 drones, which is a pretty nice baseline economy, but his army is still quite mediocre. In terms of value, it's about exactly the same as Maru's. And Maru's units aren't busy cooking up another set of Locusts every 2/3 of the cooldown. So the Liberator will siege up. Very awkward position. The Queen Liberator gets taken out by Corrosive Bell. Another wave of Locusts. Takes out a tank or two. Thors juggled back. 4 Thors, and however many years ago Maru said, we're going Mech. And he made it happen. And SHIN so far, I feel like he's making the right plays in the wrong game. Like, he got so much damage done with the Nidus, but couldn't quite lay down the killing blow. And now Maru has been allowed to survive. An Ultraless Cavern is on the way? Has he vetoed the Broodlord idea? This is that phase of the game where SHIN has all the options, but somehow seems to always make the wrong ones. If it was anyone else against Maru, I think I'd be giving him the benefit of the doubt. But right now, we've got some serious doubt and very little benefit. Though yanks in several of the Cyclones, knocks Maru back down to around 170 supply. SHIN has a lot in the bank. He's been very cost-effective for what it is. But I keep staring at those upgrades. I keep looking at the unit composition itself. The Vipers are a obscenely important part of dealing with Mech, especially with no ghosts. Unless those cloaking devices have gotten ridiculously good, there's no ghosts on the field. The only barracks... Oh, he's got a couple. But the barracks Maru has... Weird sentence. Are just floating around acting as overlords, helping him point out where to scan. And Maru's not maxed out, so we can't afford to build that bank of command centers we sometimes see. But the Thors, in range, Blinding Cloud could be devastating. He's going for it here. Blinding Cloud on the back line. Gets one set of tanks. The other, he didn't quite have the energy for it, making this a bit questionable to say the least. And SHIN, he tries to break the ramp. But it wasn't a total failure. But it certainly wasn't a success. Didn't quite have the energy on the second Viper. And now Maru has taken the supply lead for pretty much the first time this game. He's been slowly incrementing out, and that's just how Mech works, and especially after you're hamstrung by so many SCVs. The Swarm Hose have kept Maru back, but they haven't been enough to create the opening that SHIN was looking for. He still has 5,000, 3,000 in the bank. He has access to pretty much the entire tech shrubbery. He's got Ultras. He's got Brood Lords. We're only missing the Lurker tech right now when it comes to Tier 3 directions. Machine gunning down the barracks. But the main Mech army somehow slips out uncontested. SHIN had no his creep spread is almost non-existent. He had no idea this was coming, or he chose to base trade a Terran. Both are tough situations. One's worse, I think. But the Thors, Siege Tanks, Cyclones versus the Ravagers and Locusts on the other side, but the Siege Tanks are laying into it. The Ravagers are just getting exploderated by the tanks. Meanwhile, the tanks themselves, even in tank mode, the Overlords are sauntering away at maximum speed, which is way too slow. Actually gets hard supply blocked. Both players supply blocked right now. Forces out the Locusts. Manages to get most of them over the top without dropping them down immediately, but this wave will peter out incredibly quickly. The Ultras dodging away. Chitinous Splitting is done, but against Thor's Siege Tanks and Cyclones, they're gonna rip right through that armor like butter. Oh, and look at this spread. Speaking of, the Ultras will be glad the Hive goes down. They're literally stuck in a corner. Maru puts the Ultras in a corner and is just blasting through them. The Thor's hammers slamming in. The Viper's Blinding Cloud, the best case scenario here. 17 drones dead. He needs to target fire the Ultras. The Siege Tanks in tank mode are actually pretty great. And the Ultras are just gone. Another wave of Swarm Host Locusts come in. The Zerglings as well. and slowly picking apart this army. Maru is knocked back down to 156 supply. SHIN manages to slap together a defense with literally everything that he has. But what did it cost? Everything! He lost his hive. He lost half a dozen ultras. The rest of his tech is about to be dehydrated, bleeding out. And guess what? He can't even drop creep because I said he lost his hive. It's a disaster, technologically, economically, and emotionally for SHIN. The swarm hosts are getting chased down. Maru, despite having a mediocre economy and a middling army supply, has still managed to keep control of the game. The ultras, are there any vipers left? No. 3 infestors have been built, but does he have neural parasite? Yes. These Terran units seem pretty good, so if you could borrow some of them, that might help. But the money is gone. He lost so many overlords that were just hanging out. SHIN is... Oh, wow. Can you not get ultras back there? Incredible. Well, a single Hellion is burninating across the countryside. SHIN just lost 50% of his economy. Half of it to a single Hellion. A tank Thor drop. Here come the ultras. Right through the choke point. A concave of planetaries and siege tanks. And the planetary may die, but so will any semblance of SHIN having an actual supply count. Oh, and here, yeah, throw in the infestors too for a bonus. SHIN just... He can't beat Maru. He had him on the ropes. Okay. He went in for the slam dunk and hit his head on the rim with the Nidus. And now Maru is just casually marching across the field. The last Ultra is on the run. And GG. It's a disaster. Oh no. I'm not gonna say it was a total throw, but at least he underhanded it there. SHIN had so much opportunity to do critical damage with the Nidus or tech up, but he didn't manage either. The damage you could see from the very start with the drone panic against the first Hellions. Maru is living absolutely rent-free in his head, which, you know, he could afford it. He's won over $1 million in StarCraft too. And the thing about Maru is that's how he beats people. Inside their own heads. Especially nowadays. He is a strategical player. Because it's a lot easier to let you beat yourself than it is to put in the effort. Another heartbreaking but inspiring game. All at the same time. We saw quite a variety. That solid mech play. Maru just letting SHIN come to him. And digging himself deeper. And again, if it was any other matchup with either of these players, even going into game 2, I would at least make an attempt to be less biased. But going in, I'm assuming that SHIN is going to find a way out of that winning position. We've seen it so many times. It's a bit cliche at this point. But he has more opportunities. All right, game 2, Tokamak. And it was the right call, too. He made all the right plays. But he's no Shakespeare. Rough. At least we got to see a lot of ultras explode, though. That's always satisfying. Ultras were not it. There are some scenarios, especially nowadays, with ultras being it. Okay? There's some real scenario, and it's usually when your economy is so high and you're up against bio, because the ultras will force a certain unit composition. The ultras, with their incredibly high armor, make marines significantly less effective. But against units that hit harder than the emotional blow when you realize that Maru is now 28 years old. And he's been playing professional StarCraft 2 since he was 13. And in that span, he's beaten SHIN 35. But Thor's and Cyclone. Thor's hit for 1 fuck ton per hit. Cyclones do spell damage, so armor, it doesn't matter. Siege tanks are siege tanks. All these units are barely affected by the existence of the highest armor unit in the game. So they really do not have a place against Mech. Unless you combine them with spellcasters, with vipers, with infestors and neural parasite. They can be a front line to cover. I thought he had the right idea with the broodlords, and then he just didn't make any broodlords, which is not a very good use of broodlords. He built a spire and a greater spire and did nothing with it, which is not good. Well, if you know so much, Winter, why don't you go play Maru? No, I'm not going to play. You know how frustrating it is to play against Mech? Okay. SHIN has 600 APM. I don't even have that many words per minute. Well. What's it going to be, Maru? He has quite a cookbook of builds. I do wonder, every time when I see Maru break out something crazy like that, I wonder if he's just spontaneously deciding on it or if he has a master plan. And I lean towards the second one, to be honest, but it might be a bit more of a flowchart situation where I killed the first Overlord and he went for pool first, so I could definitely get away with the Mech. And by the time he ever scouts it, it'll be too late. And it really did affect SHIN. He was like half the way through +1 Carapace, and he canceled it for +1 ranged attack. Which shows he was clearly reacting to the information he got. So, not that it necessarily helped. I was about to say +1 lair on the way. I feel almost as tongue-tied as... Okay, alright, stop shinning on SHIN. Dodges the grenade. This time around, very much a different path for both sides. We have Hellions and Banshees with Cloak, and it's gonna be Mutas out of SHIN. A very quick lair and a Spire on the way. 3 racks for Maru, but with the Spire being slightly quicker and slightly cheaper, a muted timing is slightly more dangerous. And if you're able to hit or get a half dozen mutas out before the first 2 medevacs, or right around that time, you can really undercut or completely shut down the Terran momentum. Most of the follow-up revolves around getting damage, or at least controlling the game, with your first 2 medevacs. You got your Hellions and Banshees to poke and prod and do more harassment than the company that made this game. And then, from there, you follow up with the medevacs and the Marines. You try to keep control of the creep and duel with whatever sort of big game units they have. But the mutas are, well, a muta risk, but the only choice that can actually destroy medevacs if the Terran player is not asleep. Okay. Spore crawlers and queens can politely yet firmly disagree with air units existing, but they're not going to chase them down. Mutas, on the other hand, actually fast enough to do so, though medevac boost goes faster than the mutas, which is pretty annoying. The Cloak Banshees, though, threatening, though unable to chase. The mutas are popping out. Is he going to chase the Banshees? No. Flapping their way across. The medevacs are in production. It does seem Oh, well, Maru's gonna scout the Spire now. If he saw it before with the Banshees hitting this location. Unfortunately, Shin built it close enough that it could actually be spotted. And this is restricted lair space! Get off my... Meanwhile, the Mutas fighting the Marines themselves. Knock out a couple, get an SCV. Not a bad start, especially considering Maru does not have a third command center. This is effectively all in on 2 bases. And now that the Mutas are out, it gets even harder to do anything but commit to the all-in. Shin, he has Baneling speed on the way. He's got the Muta count at healthy numbers. Double digits now. Baneling speed is the ticket to victory here. All he needs to do is crush Maru's attack. I don't know if he knows there's no third command center, but if he did, all he has to do is deal with 1 major attack. And then from there, you already have such an economic lead, you should be able to deal with any follow-ups, because it's only getting harder and harder for Maru to have any real impact. So the Mutas flocking around, the Hellions spotting some of the Lings. Marines trying to outflank. Shin saw... Oh, the medevacs get caught. But the boost saves them for now. Somehow, there's still a Banshee getting damage. Marines chasing down the Mutas. No Banelings yet. Though he should be able to build quite a healthy number. Now's the time. As many Banelings as possible. More! 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 Thank you. Are the boys coming? No, that's just a lot of Marines trickling across the map right now. It looked like it, but it's just a parade push. Here comes Maru. His full siege. He knows what he... Both players know what needs to happen here. It comes down to execution in every sense of the word. The Banelings with speed. Shin's still far off his upgrades. 20 to 40 seconds, and Maru's knocking on the door. Shin, it's time to answer. The Lings, if he can survive, he doesn't have a 4th hatchery. Can't really give this one up. Trying to get close. Gets knocked down. The Liberators will zone out the Mutas somewhat. Remember, they have an anti-air attack. Easily forgotten, to be honest. More Banelings rolling in, trying to split the damage. +1 Carapace is completed. +1 Flyer attack is seconds away. The Mutas are thinning out. The hatchery's dying. While all this is happening, the reinforcements, the hatchery... that was important. He's gonna try to use the Broodlings to start the fire here, and... No. It all falls apart. Maru just tearing right through it. Again, Shin had the tools, but the timing... It needed to be all together. Instead, it was one after another. And Maru just put each part of it down. And, already looking more one-sided than a Mobius strip here, but... Maru with a strong... And to be I was surprised at how many units were there. And I have the observer perspective. I should be able to just look at it and see, but... Seeing it on the minimap made me think that the boys were pulled. It was just Maru was able to pump out so many extra Marines, hitting that exact timing right before the upgrades. That's why Shin didn't go immediately. He thought he could get to the 1-1 upgrades, but by the time he did get there, Maru had already done too much damage. The mental block. And the Mutas were doing exactly what they needed to do. Everyone else kind of let him down, though. Match point. Maru continuing to dominate Shin in ways I am slightly jealous of. The hardest part is it doesn't seem to matter. It doesn't matter what's happening. It's the same outcome almost every time we see them play each other. Where it doesn't matter if it's Mech versus Roaches, Mutas versus Bio. Shin, with his book smart strategies, finds the right response at the wrong time. It's like Maru makes him put his shoes on the wrong foot and then play StarCraft with, I don't. It's hard too, Zerg. Like, Zerg is, I don't know if this is putting it generously or somewhat condescendingly, but the vibes-based race. Not to make the mistake of thinking Zerg doesn't have builds or needs to be particular about timings, but it's just that instinctual knowledge of when to build Zerglings, when to build drones, when you can get away with things and when you can't. And as the mostly reactionary race, though not as true as it was maybe like at Wings of Liberty, but still very true, it's that killer instinct that doesn't really have an equivalent. Because Terran, you can't just choose to not make Marines now and then go back and build all the Marines you missed. That's not how it works. Like, Terran is methodically building units and then choosing what to do with the units you know you're going to have, assuming nothing goes horribly wrong. Like, say, Zergling showing up when your Reaper gets sent out. But SHIN, trying to open up an opportunity here. This was a command center first out of Maru, which means he has exactly 0 units. He's building 3 CCs before having a Reaper. But the boys are pulled off the line. Down goes 1. That's a Zergling, Lester. Down go 2. Reaper's out, but without speed, there's no point in trying to chase it down. Boxing out. And, well, he did not delay the command center on the low ground, as you can't even get Zerglings across in time, but gets 2 SCVs and spots the 3rd command center. So, SHIN, again, I would say this is good for SHIN. In a vacuum. Cover up the names. Somehow brainwash SHIN into thinking he's playing anyone else. He's in a weird spot because he's not going to have that much better economy. But he knows, Maru, there's no going down another road now. Maru has committed to 3 command centers before his factory. And he's just going all the way. 2 more engineers. He's more greedy than me begging for likes and subscribes. So, a Roach Horn in production. Looks like SHIN just going to treat this like he's not going to be under pressure for quite a while. So he can just get as many drones as possible. Though, he's building 3 more overload. You're at 45. This is another example. I rarely point this out because it doesn't make for great conversation, but he's at 45 over 66. He does not need 3 more overlords. He does not need 24 more supply of overlords. I guess the small off chance is if he does a huge roach all in. Even then, it's maybe pushing it. But, you know, I tucked myself back into it. The moment I choose to point that out, boom. Roach all. And there you go. But even then, he didn't need that many overlords. That was overkill. Puns intended. 14 lings on the way. Yeah. So Maru saw no drones. Almost no creep spread. The bunkers are in production. He knows the roaches are coming. And without banshees, there's no way to shut this down quickly. He's just going to have to batten down the hatches and literally bunker down and hope he can survive. Scanning to confirm. He sees Zerglings with speed completed and 2 lonely drones mining from that base. So yes, it's time to panic. 1, 2, 3, and a 4th bunker on the way. A siege tank on the back line. He had a feeling he switched the factory over to a tech lab long enough ago to get the siege tank already done. But now Maru's gonna need to be the one. I'd like to apologize. I was wrong about the overlords. Okay, I was trying to attribute SHIN. I want to point that out. That was a bad call on my part. I try not to give entirely wrong info. But are the bunkers enough? The Zerglings will run by. And the siege tank taking a lot of fire, but the Hellions covering for it, forces out some more corrosive bows. It gets taken down, but another tank on the high ground doesn't quite target it. Now targeting on the Ravagers. A full summoning circle will repair one of the bunkers, and the siege tank not in position to protect the other side of the natural. So far, SHIN is breaking into the buildings, making a lot of progress. He hasn't taken down that many SCVs, especially considering Maru has 3 command centers as orbital commands. Is he upgrading +2? Yeah, he's got 1-1 done. He just doesn't have that many Marines, as he didn't have much time for production, because he went 3 CC into double engineering bay. He's trying to have his cake and upgrade it too. And so far, well, SHIN backs off. He starts his lair and starts 1-1. Well, not great, not terrible, but SHIN doesn't overcommit. He doesn't lose everything. He has enough to deal with any small forces that might move out and threaten the 3rd command center should it have the hubris to land. But at the same time, Maru already has 2-2 on the way. That is over an upgrade advantage. And even if he's a little behind on army supply, again, like we saw in game number 1, the value of the upgrades. Though Mech, it depends on the situation, but the bio upgrades can be even more impactful than the Mech upgrades, because not all Mech units need the upgrades even. Those siege tanks are very happy about it. Marines need them. That is a requirement. You can't just go without the weapon upgrades, especially for the Marines. That is a recipe for disaster. Infestation pit on the way for SHIN. Winding up for potentially a follow-up attack. He does have the 4th hatchery. Now mining. Adding some gas in. Infestation pit. Is it a hive right off the bat? Couple infestors on the way. Ravagers as well. The creep spread has been almost non-existent throughout this series. The focus on aggression and then the Predator drone for good luck mixed into the army. A scan will spot the infestation pit and start the hive. I don't think he saw the hive starting. So for Maru, he doesn't know if it's about to finish or if it just started. He just knows it's not done yet, which is still very important info. Just not as much as he could have had. Fifth hatchery on the way. And the infestors give SHIN an opportunity to potentially crush these first 2 medevacs of units. Where are the infestors? Alright, taking a different route. Just a bit of a risky business. The Zergling spreading out because he knows the map is dark and full of Terrans. Gets a fungal. And throws up the corrosive bows. But the 2-2 upgrades coming through, helping trade. Another double. Over to the right side. The double-double is a classic tactic, but spores to zone out. And lings and roaches will guard the ground. So far, SHIN keeping things even, and an ultraless cavern, as well as adrenal glands on the way. SHIN, one of his biggest stopping blocks in many games. Just remembering that upgrade exists. Maru's already working on 3-3, but SHIN 79 drones. The Ultras are another step of tech that Maru might not be able to contend with, but he will have... He's pumping out 4 Marauders at a time, and he's going to have +3 weapons. So, he still has options. Infestors are going to be pretty much required to deal with this. 4 Ultras in production. Chitinous plating is on the way. The Bio Army. Maru's standing is... Oh, no. Oh, it took so long. That was plus... He just finished melee attack. That was a 3 upgrade advantage of Bio. I'm pretty sure Maru realized his advantage there. And 77 Zerglings, a Roach, and a Ravager for 14 Marines. And counting in the last battle. But another beautiful spread with tanks on the high ground. There are no Vipers to help negate them. Adrenal glands and +3 infantry weapons going to be finishing within 10 seconds. The Infestors! Oh no. The Ultras are out, but they're paperless right now. They could be popped easily by those Marauders. Oh no. The Corrosive Biles will scatter over the Widow Mines, but that gives enough up, and Maru's just going to take the hatch. Take the Ultra. They both cost the same amount of minerals. It's quite expensive. Maru's taking the supply lead. It's rough. Ghost Academy's on the way. Somehow, without the creep spread and without the overlords, SHIN caught off guard by this attack. It's already stimming into his hatch, and it... Oh, the damage output. There's no anti-air. He could just fly away. Thank you for demonstrating. Actually took a little longer than I thought. That Spore Crawler might be able to take down one. Nope. Darts into the main, but wait, there's more. Is SHIN gonna try to base trade? That's optimism at its finest. The Banelings will crash through right into the Marauders, though. Ultra will go down easily. The Planetary's holding for long enough to take out several Ultras. He's just tearing them apart. SHIN, on paper, making some decent calls here, but we don't play on paper. And if so, it feels like Maru would shove him in a locker with it and slam the door shut. Another one. Widow Mine. The Marines and Marauders just forcing such a toll. Dropping the third, dropping the natural. The main base is already gutted. SHIN survives. For now. There are ghosts on the way. Maru. 4 command centers in production. This is cyberbullying. Yeah, but nobody beat SHIN 37 times in a row. He's microing a single Marauder, leading 3 Ultras on a chase. Technically, that Marauder could kill all of them. I mean, you can't spell Marauder without Maru, so... Drop in the natural. Widowmine drop. Doesn't even have drilling cause. The army takes out the hatch. And this is a massacre. These two... feels like not even in the same weight class. That is some textbook stutter step. Backs off right as the Ultras and Banes close in. The Vipers, always a day late and a dollar short. By the time the Vipers arrive, the Ghosts are already out en masse. Caught between a literal rock and a hard place. The Snipes, oh, the Viper, oh, we got the Vipers. Oh, that's it. He's dead. I'm calling it. And so is SHIN. Maru. With absolutely no mercy. Just dominating SHIN yet again. Every game looking a bit worse than the last. It's tough. I feel like he needs a therapist or a spirit guide to beat Maru, not a coach. Something's going on there. I don't know if Maru... Nope, don't say anything. Sometimes we just leave it open to imagination. But I don't think you opened this video and had too much imagination on how it would end. So, another one for Maru. Put it on the board and maybe turn the page. And we're going to need another one of the board, the page. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. And hopefully it made your day just a little bit better. And if you got the means and motivation, it'd be awesome to check out Patreon or YouTube membership. But I hear liking and subscribing is still free, at least for now. And hyping, if that does anything. Have we given up on that yet? But hopefully you enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Make sure to check out this video that Jimmy picked out just for you. Does that work? Is that the right spot? But I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. The third time. Good luck, have fun. Stay chill.